Thank you, Dr. Williams, and I'll correct that. That's my error. I joined, I guess, in November of 16.
2016?
Yeah, I put 17 there, or Alex put 17 there, and yeah, I guess it's coming up on a year. November 14th of 2016 is when I joined the Barnstormers. Thank you all for having me today. At any point during the 45 minutes or however long we take here, please feel free to ask questions. Very open to questions. I want to hit on the stuff that you want to know about, learn about, so just ask questions. First, I apologize for this weak attempt of facial hair. One, I can't grow it. Two, I'm trying to grow it in raising some funds for No Shave November, which you guys may or may not have heard of. Usually I'm a little cleaner. This is actually, I got a head start. This is like a week old. So I just can't grow it. So excuse the facial hair. As Dr. Williams mentioned, I joined the Barnstormers in November of 16. How many have been to a Barnstormers game? All right, let me see them a little higher so I can actually see. How many are from Elizabethtown and haven't been to a Barnstormers game? Oh, sir! Ouch! I'm kidding. All right, tough crowd. Hey, so we are literally, it took me 26 minutes to get here today from the stadium. Drove here from the stadium. We are, I'll give information on the team, on the league, and then we'll get into my career and my thoughts on working in sports and how I love it and the experiences that I've had. Before I go, anyone have any points of interest or things that they really want to learn about sports or hear about sports? So I touch on it before the end of the 45 minutes. Going once, twice. All right, the Lancaster Barnstormers. We just finished up our 13th season in the Atlantic League Professional Baseball. It sounds weird, but that is the name of the league. It's ALPB. That's our league. The league just celebrated 20 years. We celebrated 13 years. Our first game was in May of 2005. Since then, the team has won 2 championships in 2006 and in 2014. This past year, we've celebrated a ton of success with, our manager was named Manager of the Year. It was his first year, Ross Peoples, so he was named Manager of the Year. We actually received, for the 4th time in the last 5 years, the award of Best Stadium in the League, Clipper Magazine Stadium. And last year, we've also had 11 guys sign with a Major League Baseball organization. So we are independent baseball, but the league itself has the distinction of being the only league that Major League Baseball recognizes. And by that I mean they will actually buy out the contract. So any of our athletes that we sign, if they would like that player to play in a Major League Baseball organization, whether it be at the highest level, MLB, AAA, AA, or single A, they have to buy out the contract with us. So a source of revenue for us is when we sign a player that then they get signed to MLB, we get a check from Major League Baseball for them signing that player. No other independent league anywhere has that relationship with MLB. So that tells you and me, should tell everyone that we are the highest level of independent ball. A lot of our guys, last year at the start of the 2017 season, half of our roster, I think it was 16 guys on our team played in a Major League Baseball game or more. So we aren't just signing guys that they're working all winter, driving trucks or at Home Depot, wherever it may be. Our guys are legit guys. They play winter ball. Some of them go to Major League Baseball training camps. These are legit athletes that we have right here in Lancaster and Lancaster County. This year alone, we had 11 guys, as I mentioned previously, that went to MLB, and it set a record for us. So a very successful year for the Barnstormers on the field. The league itself was, not only does the Major League Baseball buy out the contracts of our players, but any baseball fans here? A little bit, yeah? So the new rule when you want to intentionally walk a batter, no longer do you have to throw 4 pitches. You just tell them you're going to walk him, the guy gets first base. That started in our league. So essentially, Major League Baseball sought after our league to try this. It was a rule put in place to shorten the length of the game. One of the biggest debates in all of sports is the length of a baseball game, and I'll touch on that later. but it's literally one of the biggest debates in all sports of how long a baseball game has become or is. Obviously, there's a lot of marketing and sales behind it because you want to make money with commercials and in-game promotions. But anyway, the Atlantic League, actually tried that a couple years ago. It was successful for us, so MLB took it from us. So that's our relationship with Major League Baseball. Again, no other independent league has that relationship or distinction of working with MLB. This past year we had 54 guys. So we had 11 in Lancaster. We call it, you guys are younger, the whole hashtag thing, we call it hashtag Prince Street to MLB. We play on Prince Street. So we literally have 11 guys that played in Lancaster on Prince Street, then signed and wear a Major League Baseball logo, if you would. As a league, we had 54. We had 54 guys play in the independent league and eventually get to Major League Baseball. 8 teams in our league. We have New Britain, Connecticut, Long Island, New York. We have Somerset, New Jersey, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, York, Pennsylvania, Southern Maryland. They play in Waldorf. Southern Maryland and Sugarland Skeeters. This year we have one team. They're going to be called. They're called the Road Warriors. So they don't have a home. They previously played in Bridgeport, Connecticut. They're moving to High Point, North Carolina. Their stadium will not be ready for next season. So they literally will play all 154 of their games on the road this year. God bless them. It should be a long season for them. So this year they'll be called the Road Warriors. Next year they'll have a place in 19. They'll have a place in High Point, North Carolina. Normally we have 140 games. It's 70 at home, 70 on the road. This year it's shortened, because to make up for the Road Warriors not having any place to play. Any questions on the league or the Barnstormers themselves? Anybody? Yes?
Questions on the ALB?
Yes. Yeah.
What does that exactly stand for?
Atlantic League Professional Baseball. It's okay. You're welcome. Anyone else? No. Any baseball players here? Anyone play for the school? Awesome. You guys good enough to go beyond? We all are, right? Yeah. We'll see. All right. No more questions. We're good? All right. So I grew up in Rhode Island. Who has been to Rhode Island? You from there? Oh. Where have you been?
I lived in
Massachusetts. All right. What part?
Canton.
Canton? Yeah. It's up just west of Boston, right? Off of 93? Awesome. So no one else. No one goes to Rhode Island around here. I went to school. I'll jump into it here. Went to school at Johnson Wales University and graduated with a degree in business administration. The best part of my 4 years, well, I shouldn't say my best part. The part of my 4 years at Johnson Wales that led me to working in sports was my internship at Mohegan Sun Casino. I did it with their sports and entertainment department. Mohegan Sun was one of the first non-Vegas or Atlantic City casinos in the United States. It's owned by an Indian tribe, the Mohegan tribe. They opened up a 10,000-seat venue that hosted indoor arena football. It hosted concerts. It hosted MMA fights, boxing matches, hosted all that. For my internship, I did it in the summer of 2002. You guys were all like 3, 4, 2, right? Yeah? No? How old were you guys in 2002? 3. God. That's awesome. I'm getting there. So I did my internship in summer of 2002. Things that I was able to do, I literally worked in the box office. I ushered. I took tickets. I worked with the legal department with the contracts. I did riders. I had to set up the food for any entertainers coming in. I was at weigh-ins for MMA. I literally did anything and everything during my internship. I learned everything about the sports and entertainment business. Lucky enough to have the casino close by my school with Johnson Wales. Johnson Wales are the ones that actually got me the internship. And I knew at that point, when I did that internship, I wanted to be in the sports and entertainment field. I didn't know what I wanted to do, what part of it I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be in it. I loved entertainment. I love sports. I love business, and be able to have business and sports and entertainment mix I knew that's what I wanted to do. My first 3 years of school, I can tell you, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was contemplating going into the food business, hotel business. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do until I did my internship. I got lucky. My first internship I did, it led me to know what I wanted to do with my life and where I wanted to be for the rest of my career. I got even luckier. In January of 2003, so it was at the end of my senior year in college, or the middle of my senior year in college, the tribe that owned the casino bought a WNBA team, the Orlando Miracle, from the Orlando Magic. So they bought the WNBA team that was located in Orlando, moved them up to Connecticut to play at the Mohegan Arena, and they offered me a sales position, a consumer sales position. I took it, and that's how I started my career. So if there's one thing I can't stress enough to anyone I talk to, anyone I speak to, any intern that comes to intern with me, whether it be at this job or any other job I've had in sports, is to do as many internships as you can. Whether it's paid or not paid, the experience that you get is incredible. So I've seen many type of different interns that we've had. I've seen over the years. There's interns that just come and they get the credits or pay and they move on and they don't really take advantage of the opportunity. Others come in and they're a leader. They participate. They ask what's next. They very rarely sit. They're going and going and going and learning as much as they can. Does anyone want to work in the sports business? Awesome. It's the toughest thing to get into because there's so many people that want to work in it. Literally, if I just posted a sales position, entry-level sales position last week. We already have over 100 applicants from around the country. Everyone wants to work in sports. Not everyone, but a lot of people want to work in sports, and there's not a lot of jobs. We have 24 full-time positions with the Barnstormers. When I was in the WNBA, we had 13 or 14 full-time positions. But there's a lot of people out there that want to work in it. So getting an internship allows you to meet people, allows you to make connections, allows you to just network. And having that network, if they see you're a hard worker, one of the applicants that we just received for a sales position interned with us last summer, was an incredible intern, worked hard. He's the first one to get a call to come in for an interview for the sales position. It's all about networks and all about networking. Also, during my internship, I did every single thing that I could possibly do. If they asked me to, if they asked me to take tickets or scan tickets at the front, I scanned tickets at the front. If I had to go sell a ticket at the box office, I sold a ticket at the box office. I wanted to learn everything because the best way to get to the top, if you would, and become a leader of an organization, whether it be team president or general manager, is to know every piece of the business. So with my internship, I really was able to learn every piece of the business. In school, not only did I do stuff with, did my co-op, I also did stuff with the athletic department. So I would help out setting up their events for whether it be sporting events, whether it be their gymnasium, whether it be the. I also helped out in the gym in the fitness area. I just tried to learn as much as I could about the sports business, whether it be with an actual team or with the athletic department. Because even today, I still sometimes think maybe someday I would like to run an athletic department for a university. I was able to get a lot of experience doing that during my time at Johnson Wales. So I mentioned to you the internships. I can't stress enough. My internship led me to get a full-time job before I graduated with the Connecticut Sun. I was hired as a consumer sales rep. I wanted to do the math last night and I didn't. But over my 14 years in sports, 14 seasons, I've missed one game. So we had 70 games for the Barnstormers this past year. When I was in the NBA, WNBA, and the D League, I've only missed one game in my entire career, and that was my first game ever because I wanted to walk. We opened May 24th, so remember that was yesterday. We opened for Connecticut May 24th of 2003. That was the day that I was walking for graduating, and I wasn't going to miss it. And I missed my first game ever working in sports, and I haven't missed a game yet. I can probably tell you I'll miss a couple games next year for the Barnstormers because baseball is a long season, and I'll get to why I worked all 70 games this year. But it's working in sports, it's very demanding. So I took the job with Connecticut Sun. I was a consumer sales rep. Who knows what a consumer sales rep is? I didn't know when I took the job. I had no idea what I was accepting, except I knew I had to sell something because it's in the title. When I started, I had to sell tickets. So New England, basketball in the summer, inside in an arena. We have 3, 4, 5 months that we really get to hang out in New England, to go to the beach or go to any parks outside. To go inside and watch basketball is probably not the first thing that you want to do. So I was selling tickets to basketball indoors in the summer in New England. It was the toughest thing that still today was the toughest job I had and to succeed at and actually make sales. A lot of it was cold calling, either creating my own leads or getting leads. Back then we didn't have all of the resources we have now on the web with lead lists or with just networking groups online. It was all either from people that have attended the casino or the Yellow Pages. Just going through the Yellow Pages and finding people to call and see if they could come out to a game. So I sold group tickets, 20 tickets or more, or season tickets and main plans. So season ticket for the whole year or partial plans. That first year was the toughest year in my entire life as far as working for them. I knew what the expectations were. I knew what I had to do to be successful, make the calls, meet with people, find ways to make them want to buy the tickets to come out to a Connecticut Sun game. I had some success, but I didn't have a ton of success, and I just didn't think it was for me. No, all through college, I worked many jobs in college to put myself through college, and I would consider myself now a natural salesperson, but I just didn't think I liked it. I just didn't, because I wasn't having success. So at the end of my first year with the Connecticut Sun, everyone we do them here. We have one-on-ones with the GM, the general manager of the team. Everyone else had 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes with the GM. I go in, sit down. His name was Chris. Chris Yanko was the GM of the team at the time, and he asked me. And mind you, he was my director when I was an intern. He was the one that hired me to work for the team. And he asked me, "So what do you think? What you like?" And I said, I love working here, great atmosphere, love being involved in sports, but I don't want to sell. And he says, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I don't know, marketing, promotions, PR, CR." It's like, "I'll do anything, but please don't have me sell again." And my one-on-one literally stopped there. Literally 5 minutes in, he said, "All right, we'll talk." So he sent me back to my cubicle, and I remember walking back to my cubicle at that moment thinking, I just got myself fired. I just got myself canned for my first job, telling the guy that runs the organization that I don't want to sell, which is what I was hired to do. Mind you, all the other positions, the only entry-level position we really had at that team at the time for the Connecticut Sun was a sales position. The lady that ran our CR department, she had worked in the NFL before. She was our manager of CR. I wasn't going to replace her or work for her. Our marketing director had worked for the New Jersey Nets and some other teams. Our sales leader, sales manager, he had worked for the Red Sox before he came to the Connecticut Sun. So everyone else had been in sports for a while. Me, intern, and then sold semi-successfully my first year, telling him I don't want to do it, find me something else. I was fired. I knew it. At the end of the day, he called me in the office, said, "Hey, Mike, we thought about it. You can stay working here, but you're going to sell." I said, "Okay, I'll sell." I'll sell. And so that's what I did. And so I had to teach myself how to sell. Sales is, everyone looks upon sales as it's a tough job, it's a hard job. Not everyone wants to do it because it's cold calling. People, I've had some of the craziest stuff, I'll be clean here, said to me from making cold calls, but it's actually not that hard. How many of you have conversations with friends? I mean, I would hope every hand goes up. Who doesn't? Okay, easier. Who doesn't talk to their friends? Okay. A conversation, a sales conversation, or a sales call, or any of that, all it is is literally a conversation with someone. If you can hold a conversation with someone, you can sell. And you can sell anything and everything. The best thing about sports is you're not selling a vacuum, or you're not selling a set of knives, or you're not selling encyclopedias, which you guys probably don't know what they are. But sports, people will talk to you about sports. Most people will talk to you about sports. And if you can hold a conversation, just get their interest, selling sports is not that hard. Once I learned that, my career took off. It was me. I think me almost getting myself fired is what helped me become successful in sports sales and be able to eventually run a couple sports teams. Who likes sales? 1, 2, all right. They're ahead of the game. I'm telling you, any individual in this organization, in this room, can sell. It just takes a conversation. It takes networking. It takes just being able to get comfortable with yourself, who you are, and being open to talk to anyone and everyone that you possibly can. No judgment. Anyone is a potential client of yours. Just having good conversations with them and being genuine and sincere will get you. It doesn't even have to be in sales, but that's what got me to be successful in sales. So I keep my job. It's literally like 5 o'clock. I get to go back to my cube. Sit there and think, okay, how am I going to make this work? I want to work in sports. I just told him I hate sales, but he's allowing me to sell. So what's the next thing? I got books. I read. I called other teams. I learned about different strategies that they took to sell tickets. The NBA, I was lucky enough to be in the NBA family. They have this department called TEAMBO, Team Business and Basketball Operations. And they do a lot of training. They share best practices. And so I figured, what am I going to sell? How am I going to be successful at selling? And I really enjoyed doing the groups, putting together events, planning the group outing for people to come out to the games, selling season tickets. Wasn't my strongest thing, but I was able to sell season tickets, and I think I had a lot of success because the team was new. We had success the first year, and so that helped me sell seasons. But groups was really where I thrived and had success. Selling tickets in sports is just about creativity, especially in minor league sports. No one wants to buy tickets to all 70 games in baseball, or even all 34 games in basketball. They're not going to make the time to go to all 34 or all 70 games. So you're going to find ways to get them to want to come out, or even whether it's one game or 70 games. What's the reason that they're going to buy the tickets? And once I found that out, once I learned that it was creativity, once I learned that it was building relationships, once I learned that it was people trusting you, 3 years into my job with Connecticut Sun, I was 80% of my business, and I sincerely mean this, 80% of my business was referral based. It was people referring people to me, and I was no longer making a lot of calls. I wasn't going to the office making calls anymore. It was people calling me, or me calling someone saying so-and-so referred me, and that's where I had my success. So that first year in 2003, I hated it. That second season in 2004, there was 206 sales reps in the all of WNBA. I forget how many teams there was that year, but there was 206 sales reps. I finished second in the league in sales revenue. Second to the guy I shared an office with. So not only was I second in the league, I was also second on my team. It just showed that if you work hard at something and you want to be successful, you can do it. Literally, it took me just learning how to sell and knowing that the only way I was going to keep my job there was being a salesman. There I went from being a consumer sales rep to becoming a group sales manager. My last 2 seasons there, had success there. I was a manager, but I literally had 2 people working for me. It was a very small department. I wasn't like leading 10, 15, 20 people as I am now, but definitely learned a lot about who I was, trying to be a motivator, trying to be a leader, trying to lead by example, not being above anything, getting into the grind with people. Once I realized that the more success my sales reps had or my sales individuals had, that meant the more success I had, then my career just took off from there. So it was doing anything possible to help your sales reps to be successful, whether it be going on meetings with them, whether it be going to networking events with them, whether it be just sitting there and giving them a tutorial on sales. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm the best salesman. I'm not great at the phone calls as far as just calling and hammering the phone and calling everyone. I'm great at building relationships. I'm great at getting people to want to do business with me, not just because of the team, but because of the relationship that I share with them. But so I was with Connecticut for 5 seasons, just over 5 years, and throughout that time was able to, I sold a lot, and was able to create a good reputation within the NBA family, and I became the director of sales. Any questions about Connecticut Sun? They're still in business, so if 2003 was their first year, I guess they would have just celebrated their 14th. Does that make sense? 14th year? Yes?
What was something, when you worked for Connecticut Sun, what was something you did, like, the first year, like, you thought you would do sales? When did you, like, start to get, like, really good at it? What was something you could do?
And honestly, literally was the next day after I was told I could keep my job. It literally was, it was a switch just like that. It's not going to happen for everyone. I knew I wanted to work in sports. It was fun. We got to travel with the team at times. It was a unique situation because the team was owned by the tribe that owned the casino. It was a marketing piece to get more people into the casino. So we had a little more resources available to us. Literally, at the time, like Hummers were new. We had a team Hummer, and I could, driving that around as a 21-year-old or whatever I was to different events. It was exciting to work there. There was a lot of resources available to us. It literally just took me not being afraid to talk to people, knowing that there was real value in the product that we had, and just becoming creative with events. That first year with my first year there, the number was 354 group tickets to the Girl Scouts. By my last year there, I had 2 days where I sold 2 different Girl Scout events. One was just a Girl Scout event, created like a pregame stuff, pregame activities. The other game was a concert, a postgame concert I did. In total was 7,000 tickets, over 7,000 tickets between the two. It was learning that creativity is going to sell tickets, not just saying, hey, it's Girl Scouts Day, they're going to come out, or Boy Scouts Day, they're going to come out. Selling in sports, you got to be creative. You got to have some type of creativity with the event, whether it be for a group or whether it be season tickets. And I'll touch on what we're doing this year with the Barnstormers for the season tickets. It's all about creativity. It's all about getting a network. Joining networking groups, whether it be, you guys familiar with BNI, probably not, Business Networking International, weekly networking groups where you go, you sit down, it could be 10 people, 1 person from each industry, and you literally build relationships and referrals. You share referrals. Hey, I was just talking to someone last week. They're a HR director for a local manufacturing company. They want to do a group outing at the Barnstormers game. So it's not one thing. It just took me knowing that I wanted to succeed. And that next day, literally reading books. Went home, read some books that night about sales. I reached out to some other teams that had done different sales events, and just learning, not being afraid to succeed. Anything else? This was, I can't say it was the worst job I've had. It was the toughest job I had, but the one that I learned the most. I learned a ton. So 26 years old, moved down to Houston by myself, actually with my dog, which you learned about. She was 1 year old at the time. Callie and I moved to Houston, Texas, from Rhode Island, or Connecticut. I was working in Connecticut, lived in Rhode Island, and I was the director of ticket sales. I get there, and there's a new owner of the team. Hilton Koch was the owner of the team. He had just bought the Comets from the Houston Rockets of the NBA, and the team was in distress. Again, I was young, 26 years old, trying to run a ticket sales department. I kid you not, weekly, someone come to me that sold for me crying in tears because whether they didn't get paid their commission checks, they weren't being able to sell, like a lot of things going on there. What I had to do and what I had to learn quick there was how to lead, how to change culture, how to make things positive in the office. There was a chance that the team was going to fail or not exist, so trying to keep people motivated. The biggest thing I did there, well, actually, Houston, I learned a ton of things, but the biggest thing I did there was bring the staff together. With events, like literally weekly events that we all got together and hung out, learned about each other, gave them successes as far as if I knew someone was going to buy something, help the sales team close the deal, or if it was a book for them to read, or if it was literally just joking. I still do it I love scaring people. For some reason, I don't know. I enjoy scaring people. I will be honest with you. I'm 36 years old. I'm the general manager of Lancaster Barnstormers. And daily, I kid you not, daily, down at Clipper Magazine Stadium, I'm scaring someone. Happens daily. Actually, you can probably think we put some stuff on YouTube. Literally, sometimes I will literally crawl on the ground. I will get under someone's desk. I'll sit there and wait for them and just scare them. For no other reason is because I just want everyone in the office to have fun. Working in sports is stressful. You work a lot of hours. There's a lot of, we literally are chasing numbers. Before the 2017 season was over, we were already selling tickets for 2018. We chased numbers weekly, whether it be sponsorships numbers, season ticket numbers, or group tickets. So back in Houston, I had to change the culture. I like to have fun, outgoing guy, like to joke. So it was all about changing the culture. And once we were able to do that, we were able to have success. It was tough because there was negative culture. There was people not getting paid their commission checks. There was, I can go on and on. But once we realized we were a family, because literally I spend more time at the baseball stadium with my coworkers than I do with my family at home. So creating that family atmosphere in the office is very, very important to me, no matter who they are. I can tell you we have from 15 years younger than me to literally 30 years older than me. It's a wide range of people, different backgrounds, come from different places. But my thing is, when we are in the office, we'll respect each other. And I tell everyone, they don't have to love me, they don't have to invite me to dinner on Friday night, but when we're all in the office together, we're going to respect each other. And that's what I had to get done there, and we got that done. The biggest thing I was trying to accomplish in Houston was selling the team. 2008, you guys aren't familiar with it, recession hits, the team has been losing money, we couldn't find a buyer, so the team actually folded. But things I took from there, to be a great leader, you got to be a good delegator. It's not about just pointing everything, this got to get done, this got to get done, this got to get done. You have to be a doer with them, but you can't be a doer the entire time. Because if you try to take on every task yourself, you're just going to fail. When you hire an employee, you got to trust that you're hiring the employee, if they're trained properly, that they're going to get the job done. So in Houston, I literally would be in the office till, it was my first director's job, I'd be in the office till 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, trying to get things done. And one of the VPs from the NBA offices came down, and she worked with me for months before the team folded on how to be a good delegator. And there's a way to delegate things rather than just telling people, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this. People will follow you and do with you if you show them that you'll do it as well. So I'll jump to Lancaster. When I first got to Lancaster and my first day when I spoke to everyone, I heard through my interview, through all the conversations, that there wasn't an expectation that people would work the baseball games. And I said, well, what do you mean? We work for a baseball team. We're not a 9-to-5. This is not a 9-to-5 job. And they're, well, that's a lot of time to spend here. I said, well, it's part of working in sports. So the reason why I worked all 70 games this year, and I was the only one to work all 70 games this year, was because if I was going to ask them to work that much, I had to show them that I would be there that much. So I had to be there for the Saturday games, the Sunday games. I had to be there till 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock on a fireworks night. So in going back to Houston, Donna Daniels, Executive Vice President of the NBA, she taught me how to become a successful delegator, which allows you to become a very good leader. If you have a strong team around you that's going to pick up some of the work for you and work with you, telling you, you'll get so much more accomplished with anything and everything you do in life, no matter what your career is, whether it be sports, accountant, entrepreneur, whatever it is, to become a great leader, be a good delegator, but don't be that person that that once you you get power and you think that, oh, now I'm I'm king, you know what, or queen, you know what. Use power wisely. I have coworkers. You'll never ever hear me refer to my employees as employees. No matter who they are, they're my coworkers. Treat everyone with the same amount of respect in anywhere you work. Whether you're not in entry level or once you start climbing the ladder, manager, director, VP, president, whatever it is. No matter if they are. This is how I put it. So we have a full-time cleaning staff, one person that's full-time cleaning, part-time cleaning, all the way up to the owners that I report to. Every single person that works there deserves the equal amount of respect. And in some places, it doesn't happen there. So I've scared the owners. I've scared the individual that cleans our offices every day. I've scared the managers. I've scared I treat everyone the same, whether I'm trying to scare them or whether I'm trying to ask them how their day was. I make sure I see everyone in the office before 10 o'clock with a hello, with a how are you. No matter how much I have to go out of my way to go to their office, treat everyone with respect. If you get everyone to trust you and like you and believe in you, then they're going to work harder for you. And the harder they work for you means the harder they're going to work to achieve your goals. So in Houston, I learned about the delegation. The other thing I learned about, too, is organization. I am the worst individual at being organized, by far. Some of you can look at me and say, no, I got that. I'm telling you, if I don't have it written down, if I don't keep myself organized, I'm a disaster. Easily a disaster. Good thing I can sell. That's what keeps my jobs. So the other thing I did in Houston, and I'm not saying you guys have to do it, but you have to work at being organized. Like, it is the best thing I can suggest to you, besides the internship, besides being a good delegator, but being organized. I have this thing that people will make fun of me because I have it with me. And I actually just got this. I'll tell you the story. I just got this one a few weeks ago. In Houston, I was everywhere. I was trying to help the sales department, but the production department was leaning on me. The PR department needed my help. The sponsorship department wanted me to work with them. And I was all over the place. I worked with a guy. He was a consultant with the NBA. Ron Gotch, he owns his own consultant training company. Well, he did. He's now at the University of Tennessee. I got a Franklin Covey. It's a daily planner. You don't have to get this kind. You don't even need one of these if you're really organized. You can use your notebook. This helps me achieve success every single day. When I was in Houston, I had this. When I was in New York, I had this. I didn't have it in Reno, and I didn't have it for the first 10 months in Lancaster. I just got this 3 weeks ago, and it's changed my life, and I mean it sincerely, over the last 3 weeks. I keep notes from every single meetings here, dates. Every night before I go to bed or before I leave the office, most of the times it's at night before I go to bed, I write a list of things I need to accomplish for the next day. If I don't do that, I literally will get pulled away in 20 million directions. I literally will shut my office, which I never do, open door policy, but I shut my office for a good hour a day, so if I need to make sure I get things done, I get it done. Be organized. That's the best thing. Be organized with everything, even in your personal life. You got to organize it. You got to manage your time. So in Houston, I learned about organization. I learned about delegation. I learned how to manage people, whether it be in good times or bad times. In December, so now I'm 27. December of 2008. 27 years old. I was the guy brought to sell a bunch, and we sold a bunch. But I'd walk into the office, and I had to let 20. It was a big staff. I don't know exactly how many. Don't want to give you a number. But had to tell people that we were folding, that the team was going to fold. And that was my task at 27 years old, walk into an office to let everyone know they weren't going to have a paycheck in 3 weeks. Toughest thing you can do, hardest thing you can do. And from that point forward, I vowed that any team I went to, I'd make sure I was part of the, part of the success, part of the solution, not part of the problem. Not that we were part of the problems there, but we just couldn't get an owner. So from there, I went to New York. Well, let me just go back. I told you about how bad it really got in Houston as far as my experience, but it was the best job I've had because I've took a ton from it. Like I took the delegation, I took the organization, I took the ability to manage with people from all backgrounds. When I say all backgrounds in Houston, I mean all backgrounds. I was able to connect with everyone, and that's very, very important. Next job was at Madison Square Garden. So real quick, so I knew I was going to lose the job in Houston because the team was folding. I had 3 interviews set up immediately: Minnesota, San Antonio, and New York. I took the New York job for the main reason because it was 2.5 hours from home in Rhode Island. I don't believe in any regrets. Everything happens for a reason. But let me tell you, bad job, bad choice. I just didn't fit in with the organization. I believed in fun. I believed in laughing. I believed in sharing success with everyone. I believed in just being able to. I believed that you could have success while having fun, and I still do today. And I believed in treating everyone with the same amount of respect. And there was an individual that I reported to that did not treat everyone with the same amount of respect. It was just not a great culture. It was not a great working culture. And literally at times was sick, didn't feel good about where I was. Now I was director of ticket sales for the Liberty, but I had the opportunity to sell Rangers tickets and Liberty tickets and also sell tickets to other events held at Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. 9 months into the job, I walked into my boss's office and gave my 2 weeks notice without another job. Sports takes a lot of time. You work a lot. If you have success, you're going to put in more than 40 hours a week just because there's that much work to do. And for me, I have to have a good fit where I'm working. And I'm not going to keep a job where I wasn't where it wasn't enjoyable, where I wasn't able to have a fun where I was working, and it was just a bad environment. I do not suggest to any of you that you quit your job without having another job lined up. But for me at the time, it was the best. I was in a good position where I could do that, and it was the best position for me. What I will tell you from this experience for me, when you're interviewing with whether it be sports teams or businesses, no matter what you're looking to do in your career, you gotta besides them interviewing you, you have to interview them. It's nice to get a job and it's going to make this much. The benefits are this. It's perfect for my wife or my husband or my kids, whatever the city that you're going to move to. You have to interview them as much as you let them interview you. And by that I mean do research online. Are you all on LinkedIn? No? Yeah. I would get on LinkedIn after we leave today. So on LinkedIn, you can literally search by people that have worked for different teams. So you literally can connect with someone that's worked for, say, an organization 2 years ago and ask them, hey, what was your experience like at Madison Square Garden? What was your experience like working for this individual? Tell me what's their management style. Tell me what their leadership style is. Tell me how everyone's treated from top to bottom. You need to interview the company as much as the company interviews you. They're hiring you because you're going to be a resource for them. They're not just hiring because they feel like they can just give someone X amount of money to work for the company. They need you as much as you need or want them. So it's important that you interview them as much as they interview you. Does that make sense? The biggest thing I didn't like was how my sales team, like we had a good culture, but I didn't like how the sales team that worked for me, how they were treated from the upper management, with the goals that the daily goals they had, the weekly goals they had, how they were treated if they didn't hit them. Now I can tell you, I'm not bashing Madison Square Garden. I can tell you that the culture has changed there a ton. I know people that still work there that have gone there after I left there, and they love it, and they love everything about it. It just wasn't the right fit for me at the time. So again, what I learned from that, I had to interview them as much as they interviewed me. And you've got to do that. Know that they're going to need you as much as you need them, and do your due diligence and see where you're moving to. So I went home to Rhode Island. Any questions on that? Went home to Rhode Island, did a couple things. Got a call one day from the NBA offices about a job in Reno, Nevada for the Reno Bighorns of the NBA Development League. Anyone familiar with the NBA Development League? Kobe? Good. Now the NBA G League, which I think is the greatest marketing sale ever, and I can touch on that. So I went to the Reno Bighorns as the Vice President of Marketing and Sales. Has anyone ever been to Reno or Lake Tahoe? No? Get there. You got to get there. It's awesome. Same thing. So I went to Houston in that situation. I was in Houston. I went to New York with the situation in New York with the culture and everything. I knew taking over this organization as the Vice President of Marketing and Sales, I technically reported to the league because they were managing the team at the time. And I knew I had to bring some change there. Has anyone ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? You have?
Yeah, it's required for one of the businesses.
Is it really? That's awesome. Do you guys like it? Yeah. Hem and ha, sniffing. You love it? I've read that book or listened to that book probably 30 times.
Yeah, he really likes that.
Oh, he loves the book too?
Yeah, he likes
Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah, they do that. They do that next semester.
I love that book. So when I went to Reno, I literally bought the entire staff a hard copy of that book. And it's all about just dealing with change. There's a lot of change. You're going to have change in your life every day, every week, every month. You got to know that change is coming. This book will help you to understand or help you deal with changing, help you understand why change comes. I can't speak high enough about that book. I love the book. Great book. So we got to Reno, and now I'm running an organization as the VP of Marketing and Sales. What did we need to do there? We had to sell sponsorships, had to sell season tickets, had to sell group tickets. How were we going to do it? We were competing against the Reno Aces, a local AAA baseball team who had a brand new facility, who didn't have inconsistency with the ownership, didn't have, there wasn't stuff going on behind the scenes that possibly the team was going to leave. So what we did was we read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, and we just got out in the community. And we just started hitting the ground running. Any community event that we could get to, we went to with our Bighorns logoed shirt. Any school that we could go to and talk about basketball or talk about education in basketball as far as free throw percentages or doing math or bringing out our mascot Bruno to the game. Anything we can do in the community to change the perception of the team, we did. And then there was staff turnover. I got there in September of 13. September of 10. I'm sorry. September 10. By February of 11, so 6 months later, I was the longest tenured employee there. Wow. And it was not because I just went in and wanted to fire everyone. Most of the people actually left on with their own decision. It was because once they read Who Moved My Cheese, they didn't want to change with the culture. They didn't want to be positive. They didn't want to think about the Bighorns as a very successful organization. They wanted to think about the situation that we were in. With the new staff and the new culture, we had success. My 3 seasons in Reno, we sold the team to a local ownership group. We had sales growth in both in all 3 areas: sponsorships, season tickets, and group tickets. All 3 years. And our community involvement, every single year we won the award in the NBA Development League for the most visits in the community. So whether it be Bruno, our dance team, our staff, parades, we just got very involved in the community, and that was important because then the community knew that we were there and they knew that we wanted to be part of the community. I'm going to hurry up here. It's so important in sports that we use this. We joke in the office at the Barnstormers. Last year in 2016 we lost $1.4 million, but yet we had the best brand in all Lancaster. We lost $1.4 million, but yet we had the best brand in Lancaster. Brand recognition, I'm sorry. We had the best brand recognition. If you asked someone who the Lancaster Barnstormers were, they probably knew who we were. But yet we were losing $1.4 million. Why? There's a few different reasons, but the biggest thing is our inability to connect with the community, but not doing events, not having Silo out there, not having our staff out there, not going to networking events, not going when you go out, not wearing a Barnstormers shirt. When marketing a sports team, you got to know that you want to hit every single person out there. We can say, oh, there's a demographic. There's sports enthusiasts. There's the corporate executives. There's the families of kids ages X to X. Anyone can come out to a sports game. Anybody. You just got to know that you have to touch them. So you have to touch them by going to the church events. You have to touch them by having something in the parade. You have to touch them by, these days with social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, we have them all. You just got to touch them. Marketing has changed. It's not just ads on the local TV stations or on radio or in the newspaper. A lot of it's grassroots and being creative with it. And the more creative you can be within sports, whether from the sales standpoint, promotion standpoint, or the marketing standpoint, the more success you'll have. The biggest thing that we were able to accomplish in Reno was I left on a Thursday. On that Tuesday, we announced that the Sacramento Kings were going to be a direct affiliate. The reason why that's a great achievement in the Barnstormers' history is it takes away $400,000 of basketball expenses that the Sacramento Kings picked up at that time. And if we have time, I'll get into how the NBA D-League goes. But any questions on Reno? The biggest thing there is it's the Who Moved My Cheese, which you're all going to read at some point. I love it. Just be ready to change. Be ready to adapt. Be willing to adapt. Know that your way is not always the best way. Know that even if your way is the best way, there should be some compromise in working with coworkers. The next thing, the Barnstormers. So why did I leave a league that either had, depending on what league you're in, the NBA, the G League, or the WNBA, 17 home games, 25 home games, or 41 home games, to go to a baseball league that had 70 home games a year? And the answer is, I did my research, I interviewed the organization, and this ownership group is by far the best ownership group that I've worked for yet. By far. So the Barnstormers were, they started in 2005. The ownership of, who's familiar with Clipper Magazine? The business Clipper Magazine? Dr. Williams. It's a company that was started at F&M by two college roommates that grew to cover 40% of the United States and was sold in 2003. It started in 83, sold in 2003 to USA Today, the company that owns them, Gannett. And the individuals now own the baseball team. There was 4 of them involved in it. They sold their business, stayed on as employees for another 10 years. Obviously, we have the naming rights of Clipper Magazine Stadium. They didn't do the naming rights of the stadium because it makes sense for one magazine in a city or a county to give up $250,000 a year to name a stadium. They did it because they wanted the stadium to be there and knew the impact it would have on the community. Fast forward to 14. After they got out of the Clipper Magazine business, they bought this team. And they bought this team not because they were going to get rich off of it. They bought the team because they wanted the team to be in the community. And as I mentioned, the 4 previous jobs they've had before here, it was all about the community. So when I met with these guys, they talked about bringing the staff together, and they talked about getting involved in the community more, and they talked about being able to build this team to be profitable and be an asset to the community and a community center for literally the whole county. And that's what made me want to come here. These owners they're incredible people. We've cut the loss by $500,000 in 1 year just because of the relationships that we built in the community, managing our expenses well, but at the same time being able to generate more revenue because of the activities that we have in the community. So this time when I started, so it was November 15th when I met with the entire team, instead of going out and buying books, I found Who Moved My Cheese online, printed it, stapled it, and gave Who Moved My Cheese to every single person in the organization. And I continue to give that to anyone that starts with us. I'm just a huge believer in being able to adapt to change and knowing that change, it's not only going to happen, it's important that it happens. Because if you continue to do the same stuff every single day, every single week, the results aren't going to change, and we always want to strive to be better, and I can't stress that enough. I'm running out of time here, but just quickly, for me, growing up, I grew up, it was me and my brother with a single mother, not coming from a very wealthy background. My life wasn't hard by no means, but it wasn't always great. But I will tell you that what allowed me to eventually in 2011 be named the team president of the Bighorns and be the youngest team president in the league, and now running a professional baseball team, was never doubting myself and always believing that no matter where you come from, if you work hard and you treat every single person with respect, it's going to come back. Someday it's going to come back. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but continue to work hard, continue to network with people and build strong relationships, and you're going to have the growth in your career, no matter it be sports, an accounting firm, a stock firm, whatever it is that you want to do in business. You got to believe in yourself, as corny as it sounds, as cheesy as you may think I may be. Well, the word cheese came up again. No laughs, okay, thanks guys. As cheesy and as corny as you think that I'm being right now, you seriously have to believe in yourself. You have to. No one else is going to believe in yourself as much as you're going to. And be positive. I am probably the most optimistic person that you'll ever meet. Sometimes too optimistic with goals that I give to myself, that I give to the staff. But you know, I believe in reaching for as high as the success that you can get. So if you're reaching for here, but you really need to get here, something tells me if you're reaching here, you're going to get a little above where your goal is. So always strive for that. The last thing, enjoy what you do. Enjoy what you do. I work a lot. I sacrifice time sometimes with the family, but I absolutely love what I do. I got business, I got sports, it's together. I work a lot, but I sincerely love what I do every single day, whether I'm at the stadium at Saturday morning at 8 a.m. or I'm there Wednesday night at 11 o'clock for an event. I love what I do. You find whatever you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. I'm sure you've heard that before. Find what you do. Do what you love. You'll literally never work a day in your life. Questions? Yes, sir.
I know you said you work a lot. Could you give just a little idea on how many hours per week in season and out of season work?
In season, I might be the extreme person, but in season you're probably looking 70, 80. Off season, I try to make it, so for instance, Fridays. I kick everyone out of the office at 1 o'clock in the off season. And last night we were there till 8 because we did a presentation, but it's not every single night. In sports, you want to accomplish 80% of your goals, and I throw that number out, it's just a number I've always used. You want to accomplish 80% of your goals sales-wise before opening night. Because it's tough to sell a ton in season, whether it be sponsorships, whether it be group tickets, whether it be season tickets. It's extremely tough. So you're working as hard, just less time in the off season because you don't have to go to the games. But I'm telling you, I'm not sitting at my office desk with my feet up every day right now. It's still as busy, if not busier, from 9 to 5 because I will have 20 coworkers putting meetings on my calendar so we can go out and sell to people. So in off season, maybe 45, 50. It just depends. You'll get out of it what you put into it. It's not that time is everything. You want to be efficient and effective with the time that you work, but literally it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's not. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Did you find the only way for you to work your way up was to move from job to job?
Good question, great question. It all depends. My job, so when I was in Connecticut, when I was the group sales manager, there was someone there that was leading the sales department that literally she actually just left this past year. I knew that if I wanted to grow, and I knew I wanted to grow, that it wasn't going to be there because I wanted to grow through sales. The best way to grow in sports, and probably like any company or any industry, I mean, I can't speak from experience, but with managing sports teams, they typically want the person running the team to have a successful sales background and be able to generate revenue, whether it be through creative ideas, whether it be through sales, sponsorship sales. So I knew, and I knew that back then just from conversations with mentors, and I knew that if I was going to have success and get to run a team someday, that I was going to have success in sales. So I knew I was going to be the group sales manager there for as long as I wanted to be there, but I was never going to get to the director level. I was never going to get to a VP level. It just, the way that team was structured, it wasn't going to happen. So to answer your question, yes, it's probably the easiest way is to jump around. I will tell you, my goal is to stay here in Lancaster for as long as I can. My kids are 1, 3, and 4. My wife will probably, she won't be very happy if I kept moving our kids around to live like a military life and start jumping from base to base. I'm running a great organization here. The ownership is awesome, and there's plans to maybe add to our portfolio because that's just who they are. They're not happy with just what we have. They always want to build. But yeah, it all depends on who's ahead of you. When you're going to get to when you join a team and you're say you're entry level sales, there's going to be a sales manager. You're going to know if that sales manager is going to stay there forever, or if they're going to climb, or if they're going to leave to go to a director of say ticket sales position. You're going to know who's ahead of you. I will tell you this: the best thing I did do was stay in Connecticut for the 5 seasons. Because it does show, if you look at my resume, I have a lot of, I'm maybe old to you, but I'm fairly young in my career. This is my 5th sports team. I can prove to anyone that I go on an interview with that I can have longevity with the organization. So I was there for 5 years, 5 seasons, and it does show, it shows that I was able to grow there. Sales increase year over year. I climbed from a consumer sales rep position to a manager, and I did have a good amount of tenure there. But yeah, it's common in the industry to either jump around leagues, teams, league offices, to climb the ladder. I have a friend, a really good friend, who's now working for the Oakland Athletics, but he literally has worked in minor league baseball. He's worked for an NBA team. He's worked for the NBA league offices. He's ran a college athletic department. He worked for an NFL team, 2 NFL teams, and now he's working for the Oakland Athletics in Major League Baseball. So it's common. The ones that it's very rare that you find someone that stay with one sports team for their entire life, unless it's like, and I'm not downplaying this position, but say like a media relations department. If you're a director or a VP of media relations, I mean, you're probably going to be there for a while. There's no interest in the sales side of things, so you're probably not going to run a team if you don't have the interest in the sales side of things. But it's not impossible. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
No. Was that helpful to anyone that has interest in sports? Yes, no, maybe. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.